Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Film Seizure. The calendar has turned. We are now into November. We can put the spoopy stuff behind us. We can step into the ring for this title bout featuring your friends here at Film Seizure, including pretty Jason Oliver. How's it going?
I did get a haircut today. I'm feeling a little bit pretty today. So yeah.
All right. Well, look at that. Look at you. Look at you.
Pretty boy Oliver.
Yeah. And Hollywood, Charles Moore.
Hollywood.
How you guys doing?
Doing all right. Doing
good.
all right.
All right. Well, I'm here as part of the Indiana State Boxing
Are you the Midwest
Association. Yeah, I am.
The Midwest Stallion.
Yeah, I am. Yep. Anyway, no, I'm probably more like the Midwest turtle guy or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Turtle guy.
Your kid Minneapolis that fights out of Detroit.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, welcome. We are going to talk about 2015's Creed.
Indeed.
Not a 2015 Creed album. A good Creed. I don't know. Do they still make albums? I know they make albums. Does Creed make albums? are they done?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I
anyway.
think Scott Stop was back for something
Scott
recent.
stopped.
Yep. He stopped and then he stepped. Stopping.
He stepped our hearts by making more music.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the good Creed. Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed.
Well, that was a secret, but okay.
Well, I mean, I bought a ticket for Creed, goddammit.
I didn't buy a ticket for Johnson.
That would be hilarious if they made this movie as Johnson to see if it could succeed.
It's like, yeah, that'll work,
You
right?
don't need an IPO.
Yeah. Bring in the let's do the prequel movie for Spider Rico. You know?
Oh yeah. Eureka prequel. I love it.
Movie ends with him getting his ass handed to him by Rocky or something. I don't know. Anyway. All right. So we are talking about Michael B. Jordan as Creed with some assistance from Sylvester Stallone. A lot of Sylvester Stallone in the movie, acting his ass off.
Dude,
in this movie.
I forgot that he won a Golden Globe for this movie and was nominated for an Academy Award for this movie because I was watching it and I was like, damn, he's good in this movie. Like, I was kind of blown away by it, and then I looked it up. And I was like, "Oh yeah, he was like very."
He was the favorite to win the Oscar for the supporting actor and lost.
And Mark Rylance. I'm sorry, that movie sucks. Bridge of Spies. It's not a good movie. Stallone should have won. Stallone was robbed.
Yeah.
Yep.
He also won a Razzie, but not the way you think.
The comeback Razzie.
Yeah.
It's like the comeback player of the year award. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, he got the Redeemer Award. Yeah.
But he did win the Golden Globe.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And and so this is Ryan Coogler directed this movie. This is the movie that probably landed him Black Panther.
Yeah, for sure. He had made Fruitvale Station, which I still haven't seen. I need to see. And that was pretty well acclaimed movie, and he made it with Michael B. Jordan, so they had a rapport. And
Michael B. Jordan is widely considered probably the most fleshed out Marvel villain too. Thanks to Black Panther.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I actually didn't see this movie in the theater.
What?
Yeah, no, I saw 2 and 3 in the theater, but I did not see the first one. At that time, I wasn't going to the movies as much, but as soon as it hit digital, I rented it. Yeah. I remember that. And just floored by it.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater. It's just there is no better feeling in my soul than seeing a Rocky movie during Thanksgiving time.
Especially a good one.
Yeah, especially a good one. But man, it's just like that is one of those warm blankets in life that I just love being wrapped up in.
For you, it's Rocky. For me, it's Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see a Bond movie released around Thanksgiving. Chuck, when did you first see this movie?
Probably last year.
Oh, I thought you were about to say, I don't know, last night.
No, I had planned to watch all three of them. Xfinity actually gave me this movie for free for some reason, so I'm like,
fantastic.
I'll watch it.
Have you seen the sequels then?
No.
Oh, okay. You're in for treats, but also a little bit diminishing returns too.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I'm sure 2 could be good, but I'm not all that interested in. Yeah, the whole Drago versus.
Well, I know what you're about to say.
Is a lot better than you think.
This is what I was going to say about this. Well, no, actually, go ahead, Chuck. What's your thoughts here? Let me hear your thoughts on how you felt a year ago, how you felt.
I like it. It's a good sports movie. It's funny, way funnier than I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. Corny as fuck sometimes.
Totally.
That's Rocky, though.
That's Rocky.
Yeah, I mean that's not Rocky 1 or 2, but it's Rocky later. In my opinion, anyway. But
I don't think it ever hits the real corniness of like 3 and 4 though. Like.
Right, and it's really only one scene in this movie that I'm like, oh my god.
All right, well, cool. We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
It's a stupid moment anyway. But I like this movie. Stallone blew me away in it. Yeah. Like he's amazing. Michael B. Jordan's always good. Yeah. I think. Mm-hmm. I like Bianca. I can't remember the actress's name. I thought
Tessa Thompson. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah. So all the pieces are there. It's just not super deep. You know, it's a formulaic, fun movie.
I actually will push back a little bit on that, but that's what I was about to get into, because this is so the weird thing about about the Rocky movies. How many Rocky movies have there been now? Like 9. What? 9. Okay.
Well,
8.5.
Yeah, 8.5. Exactly.
8.5. Yeah. Because Creed 3 has no Rock. But boy, does it have Rocky in its bones.
It needs it. That's the thing about 3 that is really disappointing is it's sorely missing.
It was the first Creed movie that felt like, oh, this is just Rocky 7. If that makes sense. Maybe I'll explain that a little bit more later.
But this one?
No. Creed 3 was the first one that felt like a Rocky sequel. As opposed to a Creed movie. Like, I guess what I'm getting at is like the feel of it. It's like, it's very much like, this is just a Rocky movie with a different character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Creed 1 and 2, while Rocky movies feel like also their own thing as well. I mean, okay, so here's what I was about to say to kind of, so Creed 1 and 2 are legacy sequels that are not just referential of what they are sequelizing, but that they are also, and the one thing that I always think, the reason why the Rocky sequels will always be mostly cherished, as opposed to a lot of series that have so many sequels like that, or almost becomes like a running joke that, Rocky 27 is going to come out and he's going to be like 90 years old or whatever. That was always the joke. But like,
damn, you're 60.
Yeah, that's Rocky Balboa. Yeah. Man, you're 60. Anyway, but there's a lot of reverence in the movie.
Yeah.
It takes itself seriously. It doesn't feel like it's, Creed's not watching the third act of Rocky because it's the third act of Rocky. He's like, he's trying to learn how to fight, right? Like he's trying to emulate the greats, and it's like he's being reverent. He's paying a lot of reverence to the sport, to not just his dad, although I would say he cares a little bit less about his dad at that point. He knows that's his dad. He's just shadow boxing. And it kind of comes back around to something that Rocky says about how he's always going to be the one that's his biggest, the biggest foe is going to be the one is going to be himself. But there's a reverence to this that doesn't feel cash grabby, if that, like a lot of legacy sequels.
We're talking about the first Creed, right?
Yeah.
I agree. It's a natural progression.
And I will say that Creed 2 ratchets that up a lot because it's like, okay, this is just Rocky 4.
Well, here we go.
2 or whatever.
Creed, the movie we're talking about is essentially a pseudo remake of the original Rocky.
Sure.
In a lot of ways. Creed 2 is kind of an amalgam of 3 and 4.
Right.
Rocky 3 and 4. And Creed 3, I would kind of say is sort of the Rocky 5
sort of
mix.
Yeah. But the thing is about especially with Creed 1 and 2, and they do okay with bringing some of this in also in 3, but there is more to it than it just being a sequel to Rocky or a remake of Rocky. This movie does have, I think this movie has a lot going on in it that is under the surface. Because it's a lot about legacy, which this is a legacy sequel, and it has something to say about the legacy of people,
family, father figures.
It has something to say about the usage of names, and how that can be beneficial, but can also hurt you, and can also be something you try to escape when you maybe don't always have to. There's a lot going on there that I think it is a little bit deeper than it may seem on the surface.
There's a search. Adonis is searching for himself through a legacy that he never experienced, right? And a father he never experienced. He's trying to connect and tap into something that he knows is a huge part of who he is, but he doesn't understand why or how to do that. Like the fact that he's even a boxer almost feels like secondary to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a way only way he knows how to maybe emulate and understand who his father is by watching those old YouTube videos of his father's fights. And I always love the scene where he's watching the fight, the original fight between Rocky and Apollo in the first movie, and he's shadowboxing as Rocky. He's fighting his dad in that.
That's why I said it seems like he cares less about Apollo because he's emulating Rocky.
What Rocky is alive. Rocky can actually give him that living connection. Yeah.
Plus, he would want to kick the shit out of his dad for abandoning him. Right? He's still in that.
Yeah, he's still angry,
in that mind frame where he hasn't accepted that his dad died.
Yeah, and Creed 1 and 3 also kind of go back to like that whole fighting his way kind of through his youth and that frustration that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And fighting is, because it's not really blatantly said, but it's like it is kind of mentioned in the scene with Felicia Rashad at the school where it's like, this kid's really bright. He's really smart, but he fights.
Detention is where he is. But
is it the detention? I'm sorry. I thought it was. I thought she was talking to a.
No, I
thought that was a different scene. Sorry.
He's in juvenile detention.
Right. It's but it's like he's super bright. He's super intelligent, but he fights.
Yep.
And in a way, she kind of helps him focus that fight a little bit by explaining to him who he is.
Yeah.
And
she helps him understand maybe some of those instincts, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lick of sense either time I watch this movie either.
What?
Like that Marianne is not his real mother.
Why?
Well, he would be 29.
But it just doesn't make sense in this movie. If this is the first time you picked a Creed movie up and you've not seen any Rocky movies, the way she's talking to him, it sounds like she's coyly saying, "I'm your mom." You don't know that he has another mother until halfway through the movie.
She tells him she's sorry about his mother, because his mother died. She tells him that explicitly.
Yeah.
I thought she said, "I'm sorry about your father, not your mother."
And he's like, "Who are you?" And she explains
it's like, my husband was your father.
Yeah, I
know that part.
I was married to Apollo Creed. He was your father. Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't get that impression at all.
No, it's yeah. I mean, he's in halfway homes because he explicitly says, "I ain't going back to
another foster."
Well, I know he is, right. But it seemed like she gave him up. I don't remember him saying, "I'm sorry about," or her saying, "I'm sorry about your mother." No, I realize what the story is. I realize it.
Yeah.
I'm saying it doesn't make sense in the beginning of the movie at all.
Oh, I think it does.
Yeah. It's there. Yeah, because she does. I mean, yeah, she is apologizing for his mother's death because he's been essentially abandoned twice. I mean, and that's why he rejects Rocky when Rocky wants to die in this movie.
What you don't see is like how she learned about this information,
sure,
how she knows about his existence, right? Like, because
there's always time to make that movie. We can make that movie.
Somehow she found out, that Apollo had an illegitimate son and adopted him. I don't know how, but it's just a plot device because we know from the Rocky movies that he didn't have that son. So if he's going to have a son, somebody's got to have given birth to that son. So it's a convenient way of making that happen, and I think it's pretty clear. But and it's honestly kind of poignant in a way because she misses Apollo and she has a chance to help extend his legacy and maybe fill a void in her life, right?
Yeah, I mean, a piece of him can still be there with her,
right?
Yeah.
And she clearly still has love for Apollo regardless of his infidelity. Yeah. That's explored a little bit more in the sequels as well. But anyway. So let's get right into it. So he's fighting in juvenile detention. He's clearly a troubled youth. Felicia Rashad adopts him, takes him into her home, raises him from that point. And when you see him next, he seemingly has like a good job. Or no, you don't. That's not when you see him next. You see him next, he's fighting in Tijuana.
Yeah.
He's fighting in Tijuana. He knocks the shit out of some Mexican boxer.
Yeah, before they even count him out, he's undoing his gloves. He's like, "Yeah, I got this." Yeah. Because he's 15-0 in Tijuana. We find out.
Almost a la Fight Club, he's in an office job, and he's looking at his busted knuckles, right? And he decides that he doesn't want this life. He wants to fight.
So this is interesting. I did not know this. There's no indication of this until I read the Wikipedia file or page for it. But do you guys know what the name of the company he works for? Because it's there in the Wikipedia article. It's like, what the fuck?
I didn't catch it.
Smith Bordley Financial Group. It's nowhere in the movie.
What is? I don't understand the significance.
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's in the Wikipedia article, but it's like it's not in the movie.
It might have been on a sign somewhere.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, he's got an office job. You can tell, he's got, he nurses his bruised knuckles from which I think also is kind of a telling point later where it's like, oh no, you're going to get proper boxing gloves made for you because, the ones he probably just bought in the sporting goods section hurt his knuckles.
Sure.
And also, I'm guessing that's probably also an indication that he doesn't really know how to box because should boxers be hurting their hands by punching a guy?
Well, all right. I know a little bit about boxing.
Yeah. I mean, you're the boxing expert. I'm
the expert.
You're the Jim Lampley here.
I literally boxed maybe like 3 rounds of my life in high school. But I follow boxing.
3 rounds. Right. You got into a fight in the gym.
No, like we had like boxing in high school, and I did it a little bit, but I decided I didn't really care for the actual boxing. Didn't like getting hit.
You don't like getting hit in the face?
I didn't like getting hit, but but I follow boxing, and here's the thing with gloves. Yeah, you can still like fuck up your hands. You can still break your hand. Now you're not necessarily going to get like those abrasions though that he had on his knuckles. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe you can, like, if it's rubbing, if you're not wrapping your hands right, which would track to some degree. But what's interesting about gloves is a lot of times there's kind of a misnomer about if you like the pillow gloves. They're really kind of like the heavier weighted gloves are usually the ones you do more damage with, because you're able to throw a harder punch without doing as much damage to your fist. The lighter size gloves, you have to be more cognizant of the damage you could do to your hand, so you're not as likely to throw the haymaker, right? So it's just an interesting kind of thing. Like, you're probably more likely to break your hand in a lighter sized glove, so you're also a little bit more aware of being more intentional with your punching.
So is that kind of going back to, like, he doesn't maybe really understand that?
Oh,
he's just throwing punches.
Any of it. He doesn't understand any of it. He's completely raw.
Yeah, he's just throwing punches.
He says, "Oh, I've done all this on my own. Every punch I've thrown was what, of my own, teaching." Like, he has no clue. He has no clue at all. He's watched YouTube videos and he's fought. He's been fighting since he was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he doesn't understand any of that. None of it. But anyway, he knocks that fucking guy out, and then he goes to his office job, which kind of reminds me of Fight Club.
Yeah. Yeah.
right. And he turns in his resignation letter, and he had just got a promotion, and his boss is kind of like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Thank you for the opportunity. I've got to do my own thing." He tries to tell his mom, Felicia Rashad, his stepmom, or whatever you want to call her, and he can't break her heart. She just keeps talking about the promotion and how big it is for him and all of that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's when he goes and he shadowboxes against his dad, and he essentially makes a decision to move to Philadelphia. Well, he does that because at first he goes to Apollo's original. Oh yeah. This is cool. Gym. This is cool. He goes to Apollo's gym, and he talks to the trainer. He's the son of the trainer that Rocky and Apollo trained with for years. What's his name? Oh shoot, Duke. Yeah. Duke Evers. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that's one of my favorite lines in Rocky Balboa and Rocky 6 when he's like, "All right, we've built up your stamina, and your fists are I don't know." He says, like, they're full of arthritis or whatever. They're whatever. We gotta turn them into power bombs. It's like we gotta build up your strength. And like, so you can. Oh, that's awesome. Like, Duke is so rad in Rocky Balboa because he's like worn down and old too, and he's like training Rocky, and it's like this vicarious thing. That's a badass movie. That's probably my third favorite Rocky movie. But apparently he's passed. You never really see that. But it's his son who runs that gym. Little Duke. Yeah, Little Duke. And that's Avon Barksdale from The Wire. Just got to throw that out there. Super badass. And he comes into play a lot more in the next two movies. Because he ends up becoming Apollo's main trainer. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, he turns him down. He's like, "No, you're not a boxer. You don't have the hunger. You don't need it." He's kind of one of those guys where it's like, a fighter needs it. That's all they've got, right? And you live a good life. What do you need to box for? The thought is that he's basically saying that Marianne has
taken away the need.
Yeah.
Given you the life you should have had.
Yeah.
As Apollo's son, basically, is what he's saying. But yet, Donnie is kind of like, no, not really.
No, not really. He still struggles with that, right? Like he knows how he was raised. Like, yes, he was given a gift, but he's got a lot of demons. Yep. And it's the only way he knows how to exercise them is to fight. And fight the right way, right? He's trying, I think it's a healthy choice in a lot of ways for him. But yeah, Tony Little Duke, that's awesome. I love Little Duke. He's not having it. So he turns him away. He says, I will make sure that no one else will train you. Which is kind of fucked up, honestly.
Yeah, it's not like he's coming in and fucking up the business and therefore needs to be, he's not coming in chirping like Clubber Lang.
It's like, therefore,
devicey. Get out of here.
Yeah. Plot devicey to get him out of LA. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the only place you'll ever be able to go will be Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't stop in Denver. Don't stop in Chicago.
There ain't no other place for you. Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. It definitely.
But this pisses off Donnie, and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I'll prove to you that I've got set up a sparring match with this guy here. I'll take him on." Mm-hmm. And he knocks him over. He knocks him down, and then the next guy comes up, who's Danny the Stuntman Wheeler. The number 2 pound for pound fighter.
This is Andre Ward, who in his own right was an incredible boxer, undefeated. Andre Ward, he retired undefeated, 34-0, I believe. He was a gold medalist at the Athens Games for the U.S. We don't get many of those these days. Incredible boxer. One of the best of the 21st century, bar none, like top 10, easy. Wonderful boxer. And yeah, he steps up because he's supposed to be the challenger. He's the challenger to the champion who we'll meet later. And he's like, I'll take you on. And he waxes the floor with Donnie. Yeah. Yeah. As he should.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, again, Donnie is able to dodge a little bit at first. But it's... he's a trained boxer can start to figure that out pretty quick, and then it's he kind of keys in on it, and just knocks him right to the fucking tarp. That's it.
Yeah, and that's like reality, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Metaphor time. Reality just punched him in the face. He just Mike Tyson quoted him to the face. Yeah. It's like he had a plan. No, he doesn't.
like the last guy he beat, I think he was something like, he was a contender of some sort. They put the cards up on, like maybe was like 10th pound for pound in the world. And like, he's 10th pound for pound in the world is incredible. But he was probably a little bit egotistical about it.
Yeah, and Donnie might actually have a little bit of speed. That's one thing that's kind of indicated that he's got Apollo's speed. So
he took him for granted a little bit, and he was able to knock him down. But then you get Andre Ward in the ring. It's like it ain't happening, man.
Yeah, this movie's got 2 gold medalists in it.
And this is kind of a cool thing too, because this is the second movie in the Rocky franchise that really started to lean into third. It's the third. They started leaning into actual boxers. Because the first one was Rocky V. You had Tommy Morrison. He was
the Great White Hope.
Yeah, he was Tommy the Gun.
Tommy Gun. Yep.
Tommy the Gun. Yeah, or something. Yeah. In Rocky V, that was Tommy Morrison. Sad story. That guy.
He got AIDS, didn't he?
He died of AIDS. He claimed for many years he didn't have AIDS. It was weird. It was a weird story. Him and his wife. Yeah. But yeah, he eventually died of AIDS. And then in Rocky VI, Rocky Balboa, it was Antonio Tarver who was the main opponent in that one.
trying to set up a. It was if I remember correctly, it wasn't a charity. It was just an exhibition.
It was an exhibition. It was kind of like a.
Because wasn't
remember what the deal was with that, but yeah, it was an exhibition fight.
And it was like basically they're going to shut people up about Rocky.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Because Antonio, what was his name in that?
I don't remember what his name was.
Because Stitch was his cut man in that, and Stitch and Pads. It's not Pads. What's
one guy's name is Pads. I think they call him
Pads. Padman. Yeah, Stitch and Padman are real, actual like cutman and trainers in real life, like very famous.
You can tell, in the movie, you can tell there.
And then Stitch was Antonio Tarver's cutman in Rocky Balboa. I can't remember what his name was. It was something kind of funny, but anyway. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like Antonio Tarver's character was like, man, fuck this Rocky legacy. Nobody thinks I'm the best. Everybody's talking about Rocky is the best. I want to be the best. I'm going to beat Rocky. And so they have the fight, and it's kind of goofy. It's like you're still going to be a 60-year-old man. Like, how is this going to improve your legacy? But
and Rocky it's not going to be cool to beat up a 60-year-old.
It's like beating up George Foreman.
And then Rocky takes him to the distance.
Good luck.
Then Rocky takes him to the distance, and it mirrors the first movie in such a beautiful way. Oh, I love it. Anyway, where was I going?
But it is kind of funny because this movie does go to some lengths to kind of downplay Rocky in regards to say that actually Apollo was the better fighter.
And I think that Rocky acquiesces to that. He even tells Adonis when Adonis asks about the third fight that you get a glimpse of at the end of Rocky 3, who won that fight. He tells him whether it's true or not.
Yeah, Apollo did. It doesn't really matter, but I mean, he's gonna tell the kid.
But he also told him it's like everybody loses eventually because time catches up to you.
Time defeated him. It's interesting though that you are saying that because I've always, I want to say understood, but that's not the word I mean. But I've always understood it that Apollo was the better fighter. Like he always has been. This is not a surprise in this movie, right? Like,
I think that
Rocky
defeated
it gets the odds,
a
couple times, and that's what makes the Rocky story so good, is that he's beating people that are better than him.
Right.
It's not that he's better.
Yeah, and I think that
he was given after he became the heavyweight champion of the world after beating Apollo Creed when he got the rematch. Yeah, he beat an aging Apollo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he also was privy to all the best training in the world, all the best of everything, and he had a pretty good run for a while. But he was susceptible to the ego trap, to the age trap when Mr. T fucking beat the shit out of him in Rocky 3, and he had to then dig deep back into his soul, go back to Philly and get back into it and get him trained by Apollo so that he could come back and regain the title.
Didn't he have to go to LA? He had to go to LA to dig deep.
Yeah,
he didn't go to Philly. He had to go to LA.
No, you're right. He went to LA and he was like running.
He had to update the way he trained.
He had to get out of Philly because in Philly he was a king. Yeah.
And in LA he ain't shit.
Yeah.
Well, and first of all, I love any serious conversation in which the words "Mr. T beat the shit out of him" is said so seriously and so full throated.
Clever Lang.
Oh my God, that's great. So, okay, side note here, real quick.
But real quick. All I wanted to wrap up is I was talking about the fact that now we have this succession of movies where they're using real boxers as the other opponents and things like that. And that continues along through the rest of the Creed movies, for the most part.
Well, even though the main villain in Creed 3 is not a real boxer comes back to finish business.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So, yeah, tying back to this movie.
Right.
So side note, just in general, just talking about boxing, just going to talk about boxing here for a second. So I've always thought, and maybe this is unfair, or maybe this is because history is a little bit kinder to this than what the reality is. And certainly, Jason, you follow boxing much closer than I do.
I used to, not as much, but
well, maybe not as much anymore. But would you? I tend to think that the 70s was the best heavyweight decade. Is that fair? Because you had Ali, you had Frazier, you had Foreman. I mean,
it's hard to argue with that because also it was like that was kind of boxing at its prime, but still, though, if for me, the most dominant heavyweight of our lives was Mike Tyson.
Sure.
I mean, he was a juggernaut. But the problem with Tyson was he was unmatched, right?
Yeah.
In the 70s, you had a lot of. You had Joe Frazier, you had Muhammad Ali, you had George Foreman, you had these rivals,
and all three of those people, I think, is fair to say. It's hard to argue they're somebody's pick as the best of that time.
Yeah.
And I would tend
Mike
to pick
Tyson, who was kind of like out of time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he was beating fools in, the first 3 rounds every fight.
And the only
until one night he wasn't ready.
The only person that beat Mike Tyson was himself.
Yeah.
Flat out. Yeah.
Yeah. And but like I tend to think George Foreman was the best of the three.
I love George. He had the most longevity.
Absolutely. And I think most everybody agreed that
40s. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think most people agree that he was the person you least wanted to be punched by in the world.
It wasn't until Bernard Hopkins so you got a person who was an older like who won a not a heavyweight title but a title belt.
Yeah.
Bernard Hopkins is a hell of a boxer too.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever boxed at a heavyweight. Yeah.
And I mean, we talk about dominance. I mean, obviously Mayweather is about as dominant of a boxer in our lifetime too.
It's true. Love him or hate him,
he took all comers and beat them all.
He beat them all. He beat some of them later in their careers than they. He didn't.
But he also fought
them at their peak. But he also fought beyond his peak too.
Yeah, absolutely, and still won. So yeah.
But he was very strategic in his.
He was very scientific. Yeah, and he was very scientific in the ring too. He didn't have to. If he didn't have to throw a punch, he wasn't gonna.
But that was Ali also.
Yeah,
like he wasn't like he was flashy when he put you down, but he was kind of boring before that.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, he was and then before that, at the weigh-in, he's talking.
Well, he played a mental game.
Yeah,
he played a mental game. He played an endurance game. Yeah,
which is key in this movie too.
Totally.
The mental side of it. Aside from, obviously, you had each of the Rocky movies before this movie had the chirpy weigh-in or the chirpy press conference or whatever.
Always. Yeah.
But I love it in this movie because of one thing that Rocky does.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there. But anyway, so Creed basically is forced out of LA. He gets his ass handed to him and he loses his car over it.
Oh yeah, he does.
Which let's not forget about the Mustang because that will come back in Creed 2 whenever we talk about that someday. Yeah. But some unfinished business. The sequels are about unfinished business. But anyway, he decides like, okay, well, I'm just going to go. And he finally tells Marianne, I quit my job and I'm leaving, basically. And he's like, I gotta figure this out on my own, basically. And I want to fight and I can't do it the way I am doing it now. So he ends up in Philadelphia, the one town that Lil Duke said you can go to. It's the one place. Forget about Dayton, Ohio. Forget about, Berwyn, Illinois. Philadelphia.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely don't go to Baltimore, because Avon Bardsley, he owns Baltimore.
and John Waters also. He will run you out.
John Waters. That'd be like the funniest gangster duo. Avon Barksdale and John Waters.
Yeah.
Running Baltimore
like the bulldog and the little chihuahua in the cartoons.
That's so weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
don't call Avon Barksdale a little chihuahua.
No, the chihuahua would definitely be John Waters. Yeah,
I know. God, thanks for explaining the joke.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, Jason's a little punchy tonight.
A little punchy. It's a boxing movie.
It is.
Yeah. Anyways. So he goes out to Philly and he looks up Rocky's diner, which he's had since, or restaurant, which he's had since Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, Rocky 6, yeah.
It should be called Yo Adrian's, by the way.
Yo,
really should be, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't want it to be too Philly.
I guess.
Anyway, but he's, Rocky's closing up for the night and he notices the picture he's like, this is from the 10th round of the first fight. He's like, hey kid, yeah, you know what you're talking about.
Good eye, yeah.
Yeah. Never mind that. Yeah. Michael B. Jordan really does kind of look like Carl Weathers. Like he looks like he could be Carl Weathers' son. That comes up a couple of times in this movie. But yeah, it leads to the conversation. It's like, I heard there was a third secret fight between the two of you. Who won? He's like, wait,
who are you?
Who are you? Yeah.
I know this stuff. That was secret. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically he reveals that he is Apollo Creed's son to Rocky, and to which Rocky's like, you can tell Rocky's still living with he didn't throw the towel in. And he doesn't really, because they also say, you have not seen my mother since the funeral, which is.
She said you gave a good speech, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's.
That on his ass, though.
It does, because it also kind of goes back to that start of the movie where, it's like she doesn't even have Rocky to remember Apollo by.
Right.
It's kind of sad, it's like they
don't know what to say to each other.
Right.
Yeah. He feels guilty. He still feels guilty, and that's explored in detail in the next movie.
Oh yeah. God, yeah. Yep. Yeah. But so yeah, basically he's like, well, he comes right out and says, I want you to train me. He's like, I don't do that anymore. But if you want something to eat, I'll get you something to eat, basically, but I'm not going to train you. And he's like, all right, well, tomorrow I'm going to be over at Mickey's, gym if you want to find me there. And he's like, well, I haven't been there he's not even been there in ages. It's like, that's kind of his shrine. It's like, he's not even been there. Like, at least Apollo has a reason why he's not shown up to the Delphi in the last 30 years. Well, it's like, why hasn't Rocky?
Rocky has a reason. Like Paulie and his wife have died.
Sure,
he's kind of just melted into his own obscurity.
Yeah, right? He's kind of giving up. Yeah, which of course becomes far more obvious that he's doing that later.
Right, he's resigned. Basically, he's resigned.
He's not just quit. Yeah, you're right. Resign. That's the perfect word for it. Because quit is one thing. Resign means something more, right? He's just
you've accepted your it's more acceptance than quitting. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
quitting is anger. Resigning is literally kind of rolling over.
Well, everyone has left him.
Yeah,
even his son, and his son is a really important plot point in Rocky 6, right?
5 and 6. I mean,
well, of course 5, but then also 6. Their relationship is at the center of that movie, and in this movie he's gone, and it's somewhat reconciled in the next movie, Creed 2. But there's also this. I don't know if you were picking up on this, Jeff or Chuck, but there's this specter of Sage Stallone in this movie, and the fact that Sage Stallone died young, like Sylvester's literal son died young.
Yeah.
There's an element of that, especially when like Michael B. Jordan, when Adonis picks up the phone, I was like, oh, this is an awesome picture, and it's literally of, you know, Sly and his son,
his real son,
son. That's Sage in that picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that gets me in the feels big time.
Well, you can tell, kind like, I would never say Sylvester Stallone is not a good actor, because he is a good actor, but you can feel the personal pain.
He's channeling it.
In a lot of, even like the later scene, for sure. It's like, that man is actually crying right now. He's not acting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's holding back real emotion to make, and it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
But, and sad, heartbreakingly beautiful.
It's brave.
Yeah, because what ends up happening from here is another one of those little moments. Like I'll always say that Carl Weathers had the best split-second moment of acting in the history of acting in the first Rocky movie, where Rocky gets up and he just like, God,
like, oh shit,
I can't get this guy out. I cannot get rid of him.
It's like victory and defeat. Yeah,
all at once.
Yeah.
It's like I had it and you get a little bit of that later in this fight too. Yeah, later on, but
in a reverse.
Absolutely in a reverse. Whereas Creed's not the one going down. But but Sly has a moment here too, because he goes to the grave to read the news. You know, he brings Paulie some booze.
I love this scene,
and he's going to read the news to Adrian, and he just has a moment to think, and he starts and he's doing his everyday, but something's different today.
Yes,
he's got a reason to get up again.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because you get the sense that he does this quite often.
Yep.
Right. Like his life.
This is a carryover from the last movie too. Like this is very much a seamless carryover from Rocky Balboa. Yeah.
Which I haven't seen in ages.
Yeah. Like he visits Adrian at her tomb, like her grave, and he talks to her. It's like, yeah.
But yeah, he is like, he spends his life in his memory.
Yep.
Right. And that, like, he doesn't have any reason to get up. And like you were saying, Jeff, sorry to interrupt there.
No, go ahead.
Go.
He has a reason this time. Like, why am I spending my time in this chair at this gravesite with people I can no longer talk to legitimately when I have someone that needs me? Like,
when something from my past has returned.
Yes.
That too, yeah. Which is interesting.
It's family. Like,
yes.
It is. It is family. Yep. And that's that's kind of where like the core theme of this movie emerges. It's like, what is family, right? And they struggle with that. Like, especially Rocky and Adonis, they struggle with that. They're like they almost want to reject each other, even though they're so intrinsically tied to one another.
Well, they need each other, and they don't want to.
Right.
And they complement each other too, because Rocky had a family, had everything.
Yeah.
Adonis never had, and so they complement.
This is
in that way too.
This is where you get into like that fracture with his son, and then you think about the real life Sage Stallone. And it's just like, it's like heartbreaking stuff. It is.
Well, Adonis is filling so many gaps, many gaps for Rocky.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And Rocky
he's a gift, and he's also like a nuisance, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's also a little bit of a painful reminder too.
Yes.
Yeah. Rocky had moved on to the point where he was comfortable with his loss.
He's dredging all this shit up.
Yes. Rocky was comfortable with his loss. He could go pull his chair out of the tree, and this was, like I don't know how to say it. Like, he was almost going through the motions with the people that he'd lost.
Yeah.
Right. And not really feeling anything. Just like, I'm going to read the paper by this. Right. You could tell he misses Adrian, of course. Like, I don't mean it that way. But yeah, Adonis
he's not interested in doing anything important with his life at this
right.
juncture.
And there's no reciprocation of any of his love towards anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and even when you see him at work, he's not doing anything interesting. He's pulling onions out of the fucking back of a van. He's writing down stuff on papers when inventory comes around.
We never see a single customer in his restaurant. So
I know.
If, like
in the previous movie, he's pretty much just like posing with people and signing autographs.
Well, and wasn't the little girl from the first one, wasn't she the one who is basically running the place now?
Oh, I don't know.
In Rocky Balboa? It was the character they always talked to, and he would walk home, and he'd walk her home, and it's stay away. She was running the restaurant, I think.
It back.
Yeah.
Take it back. Yeah. What do you know?
At the very least, she was like
the rubber hose.
Yeah, it's like basically. I don't know if she was necessarily running the place, but she was certainly the person who got things done at the restaurant while he just posed for pictures and hey, I'm Rocky.
Yeah, I mean that's the impression, right? Is he owns the place, but he's kind of like
the mascot.
He doesn't really run the place.
He's the mascot.
He's the mascot. Yeah, he's the guy who like shakes people's hands. You go to,
but it's stupid. It should have been called Rockies.
You go, but it should be. But he had to honor his.
Just the way the business is run. It's like Don Shula's or something. Like it should be named.
Could you imagine Don Shula rolling up into the one?
But Rocky would never do it. Rocky would
shaking
never
hands.
It was named after him. It has
probably
to be named after Adrian.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I mean that it makes sense for Rocky. I mean for the movie though, and the way he's associated with the restaurant, it feels like it should be Rocky's.
Sure.
It's not even. It's a picture of Rocky and Creed that's on the wall, not a picture of Adrian.
Yeah, they got that. They got that beautiful painting from 3, from the splash.
I love that. I love it so much. There's a scene there. I know we're not talking about Rocky or about Creed 2, but there's a scene in Creed 2 between Ivan Drago and Rocky Balboa in Adrian's that is absolute fucking fire. It is so good.
I have a feeling we're getting to Creed 2 sooner than we thought we were eventually on this show.
It's so good.
Anyway. But Rocky ends up showing up and he's like, he begins helping Creed out and goddamn cue the fucking montages. If there's it's now a Rocky movie.
Yeah. This one isn't nearly as montage heavy as the next one because oh my god. Rocky or Creed 2 is like montage the movie a little bit, but that's also
the Rocky movies progressively until Balboa.
Exactly.
Right? Like Balboa, I don't remember being like.
Well, Balboa went back to being a drama like the first one.
Yeah. Yes. But Balboa had the like getting stronger montage for sure. Still.
Yes, there's a montage in this one that I want to punch in the nuts.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about. I know exactly what the cheese moment you are talking about. It has to do with boys on bikes.
Yes, boys on bikes. Boys on bikes.
Boys on bikes. I agree. It's really corny.
Yeah, it's
but
so bad.
It's a Rocky movie. It's got to have it.
They're trying to lean into that Philly neighborhood a little bit too.
Yeah, because they even say it's like, what's all these guys with? It's a Philly thing, whatever. It's like, and then they kind of play it off. Yeah. But it's also those are the first people who say something to him about being Apollo Creed's son and don't linger on it.
Right.
Or
so they were like, okay, that's cool. Whatever.
Baby Creed or
exactly.
There's no derogatory nature to it at all.
Right. They accept him for who he is, which I think also kind of plays to that. But
and they use his words too. They use his words too. Like they're just like, yeah, that's I don't know exactly what it was they say, but it's like I want to say that that's legit, but it's something else.
That's what's up. Yeah, because I heard that and I was like, I hear that 3 times every time I hang out with Travis about something.
I say that's what's up.
but that's exactly right. That's what's up, and then it's it. That's it.
Yeah,
it's like okay, cool.
Yeah, they're on the same level, and he's like, I'm gonna run with these guys. But god damn it, Creed's
run with these guys.
That had multiple meanings. Creed's theme is really good.
It's so good.
I mean, this is Göransson, who's Coogler's guy.
Yes, I mean, he's an Academy Award winner
for Black Panther.
Yes, I love.
He won 2 in a row, didn't he? Black Panther and there was something else, wasn't it? Anyway.
I don't know. I don't know. But he, I love the way he weaves in the Bill Conti themes.
Yes.
Into this score. It's
very
seamless,
lightly.
It's subtle, but it's also like not subtle when it needs to not be subtle. Right?
Oh boy. Every time they use the Rocky theme in the series, it's just fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so Creed wants to get trained by Rocky. Rocky's like, "Fuck you, I'm not doing that." So Creed is a little persistent.
He did Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Creed is like persistent about the training. He starts showing up at Rocky's restaurant, unloading boxes, and because he's been training himself at Mickey's.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in and he watches an up-and-coming fighter who's the son of the owner of Mickey's now, whoever he is, I can't remember. And he is, 17-0 and on track to be like a professional fighter, so he's pretty good. And but Creed is just like going through the motions from what he sees in this gym. Eventually, he shows up at Rocky's restaurant. He's like, "Just give me a workout.
Just tell me something. Just anything.
Give me 5 things." And this is like probably the funniest moment of the movie to me.
It's so fucking Rocky. It's so Sylvester Stallone.
He's been hit in the head too many times for sure.
I mean, because I giggle too, because it's like, that's just perfect fucking Rocky Balboa.
It's perfect Rocky. It's perfect old man. It's perfect. Yes. Rocky was never the smartest dude. Right. He was never the smartest dude. But he writes him a little routine, jump rope, do this, do that. And then Creed just takes a picture of it. And he's like, "Wait, don't you need this?" And he's like,
"I got a picture of it.
Yeah, it's right here." He's like, "Well, what if that thing breaks?" He's like, "It's already in the cloud." He's like, "What cloud?"
And he looks up
at the sky. And then he looks at him again. He goes, "What cloud?" My whole note for this movie is a giant picture that says, "What cloud?" That's the only note I have. What cloud?
Oh, the most perfect Rocky Balboa moment.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It truly is. It's hilarious.
But it kind of endears, I think that scene kind of endears Adonis to Rocky a little more, even though it's not explicit. I like the nuance of that. Like you can tell he kind of likes the kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like he kind of likes the kid. Yeah. So in the interim, we have to talk about Bianca.
Yes, because in the course of moving into this little shitty apartment in probably a not particularly great part, or considered a not great part of Philadelphia, which is, I don't know, all of it.
I'm sorry. Now you're fucking up people in the country.
Oh, this is coming from a Phillies fan. Oh my goodness.
Hey. It's football season now, so fuck them.
Anyway. Fair. I'll never understand it, but I get you.
Anyway. So she's, it's like he starts noticing, it's like somebody's playing music super fucking loud. That's really annoying because it's like late. I want to go sleep. I got to get up early in the morning and go watch some guy train because I can't learn from the guy I want to learn from.
Yep.
So he goes down, he beats on her door, and he eventually she opens the door and he's like, "Hi, I'm Donnie." He's like, "Yeah, great." He's like, what's going on here?" And he's like, and so basically he's like, "I'm neighbor, I heard music, whatever." And so she's like, "I'll turn it down, you won't hear from me." She slams the door in his face
and plays the music at the same volume.
Yes, but there's a reason for it, because as he does eventually ingratiate himself to her, he discovers that one, she is a musician. He sees her in a club, and then he decides, like, "Hey, you want to go get something to eat? I don't know where all the great, Philly cheesesteak places are." Although it's Philadelphia, dude. You can't fall down without tripping over a fucking Philly cheesesteak.
I was going to say, like, throw a rock. Yeah.
Yeah. Throw a Rocky and he'll hit a cheesesteak.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Hey, wait.
Hey.
Yo, cheesesteak.
Yo, provolone.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get that sharp provolone.
Yeah.
With whiz.
That
Sharp
or
provolone with whiz.
Whiz.
I want both. I want sharp provolone with whiz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, so anyway, so she's like, yeah, sure. And she comes out and she puts in a hearing aid, which, she talks about how she's got, progressive hearing loss.
Yeah.
And, cause he asks about it and she's like, yeah, I get, it's like, I'm fine in like my apartment or whatever, but it's like, if I'm someplace where there's a bunch of ambient sound, I have to,
a lot of background noise.
you have to filter it out with a hearing aid.
Yeah.
And he kind of gets a little bit of like, he's actually kind of thinking beyond himself at this point, because he realizes that she's doing what she's doing while she can.
Yep.
And it's kind of inspirational to him.
Completely. Absolutely.
I'm glad that I'm nailing it for you here.
You are nailing it. You are nailing it because they're the same in that way, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's what makes them work. Is that we have to accomplish what we can when we can, right? Because she's not going to be who she is for forever. She's just not. She knows she's not. She's not going to be able to hear what she creates, and he's not going to physically be able to do what he does. So they have this limited time to.
It's finite.
Yep.
What's funny? Not funny. Funny's the wrong word, but we're going to get to this very soon. Rocky has a similar circumstance.
Yep.
Yes,
but he does not embrace it the same way. He accepts it instead of embracing it. Which is also, like I said, he was resigned earlier.
Yep. This is the ultimate resignation. Yeah.
Yes. So it's interesting because he has a similar kind of affliction.
It is.
Right.
It is.
So, so we get into, so now we have a couple of montages in a way going on competing now, because we've got training and we got romancing.
Yeah.
We got some training and we got some romancing.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, this is the, like, really, we're kind of seeing the formation of a family. And when Rocky has decided, it's like, okay, yes, I am 100% going to train you. Here's what we're going to do. Here's all this stuff. The first thing, so the new guy who's running Mickey's. So this is where it comes into people trying to use names, trying to use a legacy for their own end. Rocky is the one who is being used, because this guy wants to say, hey, if you in the corner, I got the great Rocky Balboa in the corner. People will come. People will pay for it. You'll get to sign some autographs. We'll make some money off.
Yeah.
And Rocky's like, fuck off. It's like, this guy's such a slime ball.
But I think he also wants his expertise. Like, I don't think it's just about that.
It's a little slimy, though. It is.
But it gets slimy.
It sure does get slimy. But because he has a revenge element that gets real slimy.
But in the beginning, he's like, I want you to train my boy. Like, he recognizes the legacy again.
Sure.
The legacy. But then when he's like, why is he paying so much attention to this?
I get his
kid
position.
From Hollywood.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I get it. Because he's probably helped Rocky in the past, or Rocky has helped him in the past, and now his boy needs help.
He feels slighted.
100%. And I think he kind of deserves it because, Sly, or Rocky has said in the past, I don't do that anymore.
Right.
It's not my thing. And he ends up at his gym with another kid. Like, I would be pissed too.
I would be a little annoyed.
It feels like it's in my face. Putting this in my face.
Yeah,
buddy.
Like, we are friends, and this is a Philly kid. Like, why wouldn't you help him? But now you're going to help this guy from Hollywood? And of course he's going to dig into that. Where it gets skeevy is when he realizes who he is. Because Adonis has been going by his last name Johnson. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to use his father's name.
He's the opposite of he's trying to reject the name as opposed to use the name.
He's like Joe Hill versus Stephen King, right? He's trying to make good on his own name.
How is this skeevy though? Because he doesn't.
Well, because he's like, when he approaches him before the fight, he's like, we could have made this. Like,
this is a bigger thing now.
This is a bigger thing now.
But how do we know he put it out?
Oh, he 100% put it out because he beat his
after
kid.
The fight.
And the next morning, it became known.
What's the point?
Well, because he beat his kid.
He leaked it because his kid got beat. Like Rocky asked him to keep it quiet. The kid wants to make a name on his own.
Ahead of the fight,
and win
which makes sense.
Yes,
yes. Absolutely.
But he was already annoyed by that because he wanted to. They could have promoted the fight based on that, right? Like promotion. And that's using names, using legacy, right?
Using
and then when his kid got beat, like second round TKO, he's got to save face.
This is where it helps him. Yeah, I get that.
And that's where he's like, I gotta leak this shit. He didn't just get beat by nobody. He got beat by Apollo Creed's son.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because if he wasn't skeevy, the movie would end right now.
Yes, well, sure.
Well, I mean, it would have been a slower crawl to the top, maybe.
Yes. Right.
Because this makes national crawling slower. It does.
But this is what makes it a Rocky movie at this point, because it is now it starts to mirror Rocky 1.
Yes, it makes national news. It gets the attention.
Yep.
Of because who is going to fight his last fight because he's an idiot and waved a gun around town, and his handler, trainer, whatever you call him, is like, no, we need to put over your wife and kids' head. So I don't care about your bullshit. We're gonna take this fight.
He had extra bullshit because he broke the jaw of the guy that
he had a fight set up
that took Apollo's or took Adonis's car.
Yes.
So what was that whole deal with Andre?
So Andre Ward was going to fight Tony Bellew,
right?
Then at the weigh-in, they got into a fight, and Pretty Ricky bare knuckled punched him in the fucking jaw and tore his jaw up.
Yeah,
and so it's like he's going to be out for 6 months. Well, which is good fight in 6 months,
right?
Which is good stuff because Creed already got beat up by the dude,
right?
That was going to fight the champion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're even a bigger underdog because the opponent already kicked your ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then just seeing the name Creed got his trainer to say, that's the guy you need to go out with.
Yeah.
That's the guy. That's your last fight right
He's
there.
like, I need to make sure that you leave a legacy for your family.
A
right?
roof.
This roof for your children's head.
We can sell this.
We can sell this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And to which he immediately calls.
Which is like, how many years is this guy going away for?
7 years. 7 years.
Way too many years.
Well, if he's waving a gun around in England where you're not supposed to, supposed to have guns. If he endangered somebody with some.
When did you become a conservative, Jason?
I'm just saying 7 years seems excessive. It seems excessive for the plot. He should have done something worse. I don't know.
I'm joking. Sorry, people.
Well, I mean, whatever it was aggravating. I mean, my guess is that he also, this is probably compounded from other aggravated assaults that he's had in his life.
Because literally we have our hero, our protagonist, assault somebody in this movie and not get really any repercussions whatsoever.
It's Philly.
Whatever.
If you can't take
he went away for 7 hours.
This is America.
It's all a little weird with this, the whole thing. I wish that his grievance, his crime would have been worse.
Well, maybe the guy ended up saying, it's like, you know what? do Bianca a solid. I'm not going to press charges on her guy.
Maybe that's
or whatever. I mean,
I'm kind of glad his grievance isn't worse because
of what he says at the end.
Yes,
the passing of the torch. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's
it is
like
truly
we both make mistakes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's all. That's really it. We both make mistakes. We're both. Yeah.
But 7 years, man, that's a long ass time.
He must have broke a mirror with his gun.
He broke the national mirror of the Queen or something. Yeah.
He broke the mirror all the honor guards are looking into.
Oh man.
He shot a hole in a Beefeater's hat.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Anyway.
Kool-Aid Man just showed up.
Yeah, in comes Creed to do the last fight.
But anyway, this is the deal. He's got to have this big mega like promotional fight. So that's where.
But on top of, so he calls the guy and it's like, hey, I'm going to fly over for a 30-minute meeting. Can you guys do a 30-minute meeting? And Rocky's like, whatever. And he's like, okay, so here's the deal. My guy's going away. I need to set him up. I think your guy is the guy, but here's the catch. You have to go on the poster as Adonis Creed.
Right.
And he's like, well, what if I don't want to change my name? And then you got nothing.
Deals off.
Nothing. We'll find somebody else.
This is one of the moments in this movie that I think is just so awesome. Because Rocky could totally become Mickey here. And he could be
He could be farting lightning. And crap and thunder.
Well, he could be self-aggrandizing. Like, you're not ready. This isn't what you should do, right? Like, I'm your trainer. I'm your manager, and you're going to do what I tell you to do.
You're a waste of life.
Yeah, But Rocky here is like, look, I don't think you're ready. I don't think I'm ready. But I'll do whatever you want to do. It's like fucking awesome. That's awesome.
Because you don't often. It's like the parent repeating their parent's mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is the way it was done to me, so this is the way it needs to be done. But Rocky is able to put himself in Adonis's position because he's been there before.
Yeah,
and say that is not the right thing. Even if he loses the fight, that is not the right thing.
Yeah.
So that it's like growth and maturity from Rocky, who's an old man now, who's been there before.
Yep. And 1,000%. He's committed to this, and he's like, "Look, I'm here for you." It's right,
and there's vindication in Creed winning for him, even if Rocky doesn't realize that is happening for him. I don't know if that's explored later, but getting Adonis Creed out of the fight is big for him.
Yeah.
Because it exercises some demons. I don't know if that's ever.
Yeah, to a degree, it is. It is like.
Oh, the biggest demon is exercised in part 2.
Part 2, big time.
Yeah,
but this is the start of it, right? This is the start of it.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. And I love that moment too when Adonis, after he makes a decision, and he tells Rocky he's going to do it, and he yells it out. I'm going to fight Pretty Ricky. Right, Pretty Ricky Conley, and you see it in his face and in his eyes.
He's like, "Oh shit!"
And he's like, "Am I really ready for this?" You can see it in the
absolutely.
Doubt. It's wonderful.
This is
a good piece of acting.
Oh boy, this movie is just chock full of just great acting. Yeah, it's like all over the place.
It really is. Yeah.
But then we have montage of training. Yep. For a little while.
Well, hell yeah, because it's one punch at a time, one round at a time,
one step at a time, one punch at a time.
That's it. Yeah, I forgot the first one.
And then, but unfortunately, one lymph node at a time.
Yeah, one lymph node at a time because Rocky falls down, he pukes into the spit bucket, and has to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And Rocky finds out that he has Hodgkin's
lymphoma.
Yeah. Non-Hodgkin's
lymphoma.
Which I don't understand what any of those words mean, but it's bad.
Lymphoma is particularly bad because that means it can spread super fast if it gets into your lymph nodes.
But they catch it early enough, but Rocky's like,
nah, no thanks.
No, I'm good. I've
died
seen
of
this
cancer.
before, and it's kind of like, oh, fuck, gut punch. It's like getting body blows. Like you're a boxer at this point of the movie a little bit. It's like you get hit over and over again in the stomach. And Rocky goes back to the gym with Creed.
He's got his pamphlets in his pocket.
Pamphlets in his pocket, and the other one's smoking a cigarette, and he puts his... Sorry, little Alanis Morissette for you there. He puts his jacket up and goes out and just does, runs through the thing. And then Creed finds the pamphlets, and he's like, is this legit? Is this what's up? Rocky's like, that's what's up.
And he's like, man, you're 60. And he leaves. 60. Yeah, like, but he gets pissed because it's like, you're just going to be another person who's going to leave me.
Well, he's like, when do you start treatment? He's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
Good. I've seen this fight before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. It's not good. And he's like, man, fuck you. I'm out of here. He goes to Bianca's concert or show.
Yeah.
Because she says she has basically a residency.
Fame. This is like a big deal for her because she's opening for like a big act at a.
This is beyond her residency. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. And but the guy like calls him Baby Creed, and he's like, "Fuck that." He's like, "Man, I'm just trying to, it's like I'm just trying to show you some respect." And he's like, "Fuck you. Here's a knuckle sandwich."
Yeah.
And he gets busted. Yeah. Here's my respect knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking C-Lab 2021s him.
And then he goes to jail, and then he fights in jail, and he goes to his own cell. And then the cops, I love the cops, are like, Rocky, you just go right in. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, champ.
Fucking local hero, man. Yeah,
right.
Rocky Balboa.
You're going to kick his ass? I'll turn the blind eye. If you...
Yeah. It's like...
God damn it, he's Rocky Balboa.
You can beat my ass if you want, Rocky. I pulled my gun, he beat the shit out of me.
Leaving here until I've told you what I got to tell you. He tries to apologize for telling Adonis that they're
not family. Yeah,
because he said that in his despair, right?
Yeah,
and he doesn't believe it because he does see Adonis as family, but it scares him because he doesn't want to hurt family, right? And then he tells him, he didn't mean it, and that he also needs to get past his legacy. He's like, you're not your father, right? It's essentially what he's trying to convey, I think, right? I mean,
pretty much, yeah. And I mean, like Adonis's response to it is, "Who the fuck are you?"
Right?
He's just some old man.
You're just some old man who wants to die. Right?
Yeah, get your old sick ass out of here.
Old sick ass out of here. Like, you're useless to me now. Yeah. And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, because if he's just going to roll over and die, what is he good for in this case?
Right.
And he gave, and really to a certain extent, like Creed or Donnie can feel like, well, no, he is. I mean, he is being immature to a certain extent, but there is a sense of he feels betrayed because he does feel like, I have family now. I have family beyond my mother who knows my father.
In his life, who's going to leave him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's going to die on him? More importantly,
die on him, and not fight to live. Yeah. In this case, it's more egregious, right? Because he won't fight to live.
Yes, and because his dad fought and died.
Right. He died in the ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes it so fucking awesome later when they meet again and Donnie tells him, it's like, I'm not going to fight unless you fight. Right? Like, we're going to be in this together. It's like, I'm not doing this without you. If I'm going to fight, you're going to fight. It's like, oh, I fucking love it. It's like,
and then
they Hollywood punch,
but I love it. Yeah.
Yep. They then cue a new type of montage of chemo fighting.
It's called a key montage.
A key montage.
Yeah. Come on, get it right, guys. We've had so many since this movie. You should know.
I know. So like Rocky is like, he's getting treatment. And Donnie's right there every step of the way, helping him to the bathroom to puke his guts out. And while he's sitting in the room, he's like, well, what are you doing? Like, start, this is a nice enough room. You can start doing your
Don't hit
training.
The nurse.
Don't hit the nurse.
She could probably take you down.
Yeah. He kind of Mickeys him a little bit there,
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And he's like, he's doing push-ups. He's like, look, I used to do them one-handed, but I'm,
He's funny, man. I guarantee you a lot of those lines were written by him.
But they were probably just said on the spot. I
know that this script was written by Coogler, but I know it also was confirmed to have a lot of input from Michael B. Jordan and Sly. And I cannot imagine Sly not writing most of his dialogue in this movie.
Oh, sure. Or at least, some of that stuff in like the in the training parts of it had to just kind of come. They just I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is where you get like, he's gonna do the running in the streets of Philly thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with it. Sorry.
This is Chuck's problem.
I know. I'm sorry, Chuck, and I'm sorry, Jason, who also confirmed it's a little goofy.
It's
goofy. Rocky through and through.
It is.
Because in Rocky 1, he ran by himself. Rocky 2, he had the kids with him.
To the market, and then with the 2, he had the kids.
Yeah.
It's just, here's my problem with it. I don't know.
He's going to speak for you, Chuck.
No, it's fine. He has a problem with it, too.
Well, Chuck might have his separate and similar problem with it. But my problem is that there's no culmination. Like with Rocky, he runs up the steps, right?
He's running.
He's at the end of his rope. He's like gassed. He's got to get up the steps, and it's like an achievement. At this, it's just like he gets to the front of the gym, and all the kids are revving their bikes around him, and it's like what was the goal there, right? Like. It didn't feel like a culmination.
It's trying to be cute. It's trying to show you that Adonis cares for Rocky because he's running to Rocky and bringing all these kids to Rocky. When I'm like, this should be for Adonis right here. It should be that run. Fair. It should be that run up the steps. It should be that.
But the run up the steps has to be done differently this time.
It can be done differently, but it's not even that. It's not for him.
He should have his own mountain.
Yes,
right?
He should be running up the steps of Citizens Bank Park. Is what you're saying?
Something.
Fixing the bell, the Liberty Bell.
Fixing the bell. Yeah,
so Rocky can ring it when he's cancer free. I don't know.
Intercut into this montage is him like doing intricate work fixing the Liberty Bell.
Yeah,
he's wearing like little reading glasses,
little welding. Reading glasses.
Yes, he's like
he's Benjamin Franklining that bell.
And then he puts on the big mask.
Climb a mountain of cheesesteaks. I don't know, something.
Not Wit Wiz. What's up?
Oh my God!
The Wit Wiz would be funny because he'd be slipping and sliding.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to climb a mountain of cheesesteaks.
I'm sure you have.
I'm up for the challenge.
I've met you. You ate five mushrooms Swiss.
I've climbed mountains of McRibs. That's what I've done.
I still think the mushroom and Swiss is your biggest accomplishment, but
no, not compared to eating 4 McRibs in one sitting.
Oh yeah, I remember when you thought I was Mayor McCheese.
Well, that was the first time I tried. I've gotten stronger.
Getting stronger.
Getting fatter. Anyway. Remember when Paul tried to belly up to me on that?
He did.
And I just fucking buried him.
Yeah.
I was number 1 pound for pound McRib eater, and he comes up to me like some Adonis Creed on the streets.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Howard could probably give you a run for your money. Though.
Not likely. I mean, maybe now because I am a couple of years retired, but I don't know.
So this is like, man, you're 60.
Yeah, it's like I need to do a moment where it's called Jeff Arbuckle, and I'm just like retraining and just cramming McRibs in my face.
You're doing a sit up and someone's holding a McRib.
Duke is like, all right, I think he's got the dirt, but we've got to expand that stomach.
It would be
and Ronald McDonald is there, like doing the pads with me.
Oh my god, that's
no,
funny.
it's just it's fucking riblets like that you're punching.
Oh no, well, I mean, there's Angus McRib.
They totally
no, they're holding riblets.
I think it should.
And then every now and then he punches it and he takes a bite.
But I think the guy holding them should be Angus McRib.
Oh no,
that's my created character.
Definitely,
that's fine.
Yeah,
I can allow that.
Oh my god, I don't know what this just became, but that's hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's almost time. In just a few weeks, it's time to decide if I'm going to step back into that ring.
Oh my god,
that barbecue-y ring.
No onions though.
No onions. Pickles all day.
Let's get to the big fight.
All
right, we need to do it.
Take us there, Jason. Take us to Liverpool.
Well, we're going to Liverpool.
Well, I guess we're going to London, aren't we?
And
it's
at
not.
This point in time,
he's from Liverpool.
At this point in time, Adonis and Tessa Thompson have had a little bit of a falling out because he didn't tell her who he was, and she's not cool with that. They need to be 100 with.
No, it's because he beat the shit out of the rapper. Dude.
Oh, that's true. He did that.
Well, but so there's a couple of things like Bianca is no dummy because one, when he moves out to move in with Rocky to do his full-time training, he's like, why didn't you tell me your uncle? Well, first of all, it's like, hey, this is my uncle.
Your uncle was Rocky.
Well, but first he's like, hey, this is my uncle. And he's like, yeah, but he's white. And Rocky's like, all my life.
All my life.
For a long time.
Or for a long time. That's what he said. Yeah.
For a long time.
And
so that's like first thing. And then she finds out that he's.
Well, she's like, why didn't you tell me why didn't you tell me your uncle's Rocky Balboa?
That pretty well. But yeah, you're right. He punches her, the the headlining act at her big break show. Yep. And that's kind of like, dude, I can't have this.
Yeah, it's like first you're like trying to play off Rocky Balboa.
I thought Jason was taking us to the fight in Liverpool.
Well, hang on a second, because you skipped over the whole when the news came out about him being Creed.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, but it's actually really important that it's like when the news came out that he was Creed, she's like, "Is there something you've got to tell me?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Hey, you got to tell me things. You got to be, it's like we got to be on the same page here if this is going to work out." To which then when he didn't say that Rocky got sick,
right,
until after he assaulted her chance to make it big.
Right.
He
told her that she had sympathy, but they were still kind of
like, you still were on this on your own.
They weren't in a good place.
Yeah.
But Rocky, being the guy that he is, kind of like awkwardly played matchmaker, which is so funny. He's looking at the door. He comes in.
He comes in.
Adonis is like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's going on here? And then she finally knocks on the door. He's like, oh, what are you doing here? He's like, you two are killing me. But
and anyway, then the legs thing is funny.
Oh yeah, he basically tells them not to have sex, which is really funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the legs. We get it.
It's important. It's so good. But she shows up and she's in his corner, and that's important because Adrian was in Rocky's corner, right? And then they get to the venue. They're in the training room. They walk in, and there's a present. Wrapped present.
I'm sorry. There's one thing I do want to go back to because I mentioned it earlier. One of the things that is really, really like really Rocky giving his sage advice, because like we said, there's always that moment in the press conference or in the weigh-in or whatever.
Oh,
and he's sitting there waiting for Ricky Conlon to come in. And Ricky comes in and he's like, your fight begins in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as he walks in.
Yeah.
He's going to start on you.
He's going to try to get you up here. Yeah. I mean, he does try, but Creed does a pretty good job, not throwing a punch when he could have, when Ricky wanted him to.
They still
they get face to face.
But that's almost every.
That's every way in, every one of the, it's like,
it's kind of hokey at this point with fights in general, not the movie.
Oh yeah. In real life. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, oh God.
Expect a little bit of drama.
A little bit of cockfighting. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He's He's like, your fight begins in 2 minutes when he shows up. It's like, I love that. Like Rocky, that also harkens back to something Rocky told him earlier when he's like, I'm not good at the pads. I'm not good at this.
But I can watch you.
But I'm watching you. I'm working with you, and I'm working with this. And he points at his head. He's like, this is what I can help you with, the mental game. And that's
because that's when he also does the thing in the mirror where he's like, see this guy right here? He's your number one combat. He's your opponent.
Right. It's good stuff, man. It's really good stuff. Like he's a trainer, but he's a therapist, right? It's the same goddamn
He's
thing.
Sage.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
He's being a better Mickey in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, he's not repeating that thing like you were saying, Chuck, about the parents, not doing the way things had to be for them. He's he's working with the kid in a different way because he knows it's not going to work the way Mickey did it.
He's using so much experience to tell him like, this is what they're going to do to you. I know, I've seen it all, right? And yes, you need to be physically prepared. You need to know how to fight, but so much of it is more than that. It's in your head. Yep.
Right. I want to say one thing, and I don't want to belabor this, though. I think to add to my earlier statement about Rocky not just repeating Mickey is a deeper understanding of the fact that Adonis Creed is a different kid.
Yeah.
Than Rocky is. Like,
and Rocky's immediately picking that up.
Rocky heard what he needed to hear.
Yeah.
And Rocky's smart enough to say, okay, well, I have this exceptional athlete who's well beyond my talent.
Yep.
Right? He needs to hear different things because he doesn't need the same kind of nurturing. He needs nurturing, but not the same kind. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No. You're totally right. That's an awesome point. Because they are completely different people, and Rocky was living his worst life, and Mickey didn't see any potential in him because Rocky didn't see any potential in himself.
Well, and not only that, but he's Mickey just saw him as a mob enforcer, a local thugs enforcer.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was, yeah, exactly. Like
it's like you're no good. What? You're a waste of life.
You're a waste of life. Yeah. But Adonis had ambition. Right from the start, but was it placed in the right way?
Yeah,
and Rocky knew that he had to mentally get him in a better place if he was going to be successful, because he was going to be weighed down by all of that baggage of
and that expectation of being a Creed,
his father's legacy, and all of that crap. Yeah.
And if he's gonna sniff any of that, Rocky's gonna have to bring out the best part of Apollo, not the name, but the person.
But also, Rocky feels a debt. He feels a debt to him as well. He's like, he wouldn't just do this for anyone that was the same. He would only do this for Apollo's kid.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, he sees the package. It's Apollo. It's the red, white, and blue American flag trunks that Creed wore. Apollo Creed wore when he fought. But it's not just got Creed's name on it. It's got Johnson on it too, which is so cool. It's like this perfect, meshing of his two lives. Like it's honoring both of his legacies.
And Creed is in front, Johnson's in back. That's important, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And I think even Rocky's a little surprised by it. He's like, "Why don't you go see if those fit?" And he goes and tells him to put them on. But my favorite moments is when he's ready to go. They're like ready to go. The ref is like, "All right, let's go. We're going in." And Adonis just starts freaking out. He's like,
"Oh, that's his first fight. That was the first fight.
That was the first fight.
That was the first fight with the guy's son."
When he had to shit.
Oh, you're totally right. It was when he was like, I got it.
Because he's a little bit better trained. Yeah.
I'm waiting for it in this scene. How's his?
You're right.
Yeah, but that is pretty funny. It's like, cut my gloves off. He's like, I got to take a shit. I'm freaking out.
You're gonna wipe my ass. Yeah.
But yeah, but in this one though, you can tell Rocky's worked with him a little. He's calmer. He's not as like chomping at the bit to get out there. He's weaving with them, and it's like he's talking him down. He's like he's much more relaxed in this scene than he was in that scene where he freaked out and almost shit his pants.
Yeah.
Which,
then when
we've all been there.
He looks at himself, and I don't know if this is, I would assume it's like purposeful, but when he looks at himself in the mirror with the pants on, it's like, this is my opponent, but we are at peace with each other. The way he's looking at himself.
It's like he's saying, it's like saying, we're here. Here we are.
We're here. I'm not fighting you. Yeah. I'm going to fight. But then Rocky has to remind him of his opponent later, which is good stuff too. Sorry, Jason.
So good. Like all of Rocky's like ring motivation in this fight is so good.
It is,
which leads to the moment to start the 12th round. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, we're there.
Well, we're basically there in the fight. Yeah, it's
we're gonna fight. Let's go.
Yeah, he comes up.
Kellerman and Jim Lampley and HBO Sports and fucking Michael Buffer in the ring. It's like it's like perfect.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Michael Buffer doesn't know where the fuck he is. Like before he starts talking, he's like clapping off of tempo. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Go watch Michael Buffer just standing there.
Man, I tell you what, I only like Max Kellerman as a boxing analyst.
Same.
I don't like him in anything else, but he is so good as a boxing analyst. I fucking love him.
He was writing poetry in this movie.
Oh man!
Like it was rhyming. It was rhyming
fantastic. Yeah, he was like, yeah. Oh my god! Like the does he have his father's fight, or and he's got his father's name, or does he have his father's? Yeah, he is. It's like good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because Lampley has the big line at the end.
Yeah.
About him coming in but leaving, which is almost. You could almost read that as a warning.
Yeah.
It's like now he's got to live up to it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and but anyway.
Well, that's kind of where the sort of the sequels go a little bit. I mean, definitely the next one. He's got to live up to it now.
Well, he's got to get the title and then he's got to live up to it.
And then maybe he has to exceed his father's legacy, right?
Which, I mean, technically he does by the end of the second one. Because he beats the shit out of Drago.
That's a great so good.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to talk about that movie someday. I have a feeling. But anyway, so so like, and it is, because
like the message that his mother, his adopted mother, Felicia Rashad, leaves him, is like, it's a simple message: is build your own legacy. Right,
but here's your dad's shorts.
Yeah, but
but do your own thing.
Honor the past, but be yourself. Right. Honor
the past, but forge your own way.
Right, and that's why there's Johnson on those shorts.
Yep.
Right. Otherwise, it would just say Creed. Right.
Right, and that would be not great.
No.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that, like, in this fight, there's two things that are talked about a lot. One, which is Conlon has a massive size advantage on Creed. He's taller, which means he can reach further, which means Rocky says you got to get into him to fight him because you want to go to the body, basically. Number two is, they say that, because the Kellerman and Lampley keep talking about Conlon doesn't want to trade punches with Creed. If it comes down to punching, it's going to be a problem. Because I think that's kind of saying the idea that the size difference actually gives Creed the speed advantage.
I think basically, like, you have the size advantage. If you get into a punching match with anyone, any punch can end your night.
Sure.
Right? It's just dangerous. You're playing with fire there, because if you're willing to trade punches, you're willing to flip the coin. Right? So yeah, if you're the better, more experienced boxer, the bigger boxer with the longer reach, you want to keep your opponent at bay and you just want to, like, pound them into submission. Right? If you're going to trade punches, that means that you're more willing to just, like, you're gambling, essentially.
You open yourself up to the punch that knocks you out.
Right, and that's always a dicey proposition.
Yeah.
That's why Floyd Mayweather had the career he had. He never.
Yeah, he stayed away. Yeah.
Never traded punches.
Yeah. But yeah, so the fight starts not great for Creed. I mean,
he kind of got his ass beat in this fight.
Yeah, but he comes back in the second round where like Conlon starts to get this idea in his mind that it's like, because after the second round, Conlon gets mad and he's like, I want to beat this kid up. And his trainer's like, stay the fuck away from him. It's like it's kind of like the idea. It's kind of like the whole thing in the first Rocky where it's like, oh, he thought this was a for real fight. And it's like, oh yeah, no, he's, Creed is going to find a way to keep coming at him. And that gets under Conlon's skin. And so, yeah, he knocks Creed down like 47 times in this fight. And there is no punch out rules where you should knock that 3 times in a round.
Well, he gets knocked down technically. It gets knocked down twice.
Yeah.
Once is a kind of like a knee. He takes a knee. The second time is pretty significant. Like he was unconscious.
Well, he was out. Yeah, he's like he's got to think about his dad.
Well, we should take it. We should take it from that knockout because they do beat the shit out of each other for a lot of the fight with some good ringside stuff. But in reality, it starts when he gets knocked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gets knocked out, legit out. And he, instead of his life, I mean, I guess it is kind of his life flashing before his eyes, right? He sees Bianca. He sees
himself as a kid.
He sees himself as a kid after he got in a fight in the boarding school or whatever.
Juvie.
Juvie, thank you. And then he sees his dad fighting
Rocky.
And then he just fucking pops up. And it's so cool because it's not like you're expecting the slow Rocky get up. Like from all the Rocky fights, where it's like,
he's like
crazy. I need to get up. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up. But he just pops the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like it's like somebody smelling salts them.
And I think that's the 11th round.
Yeah.
And the British dude beats the shit out of him again in that round. And they get in the corner and Rocky's like, get under him.
Well, no, at first Rocky's like, I got to end this. I didn't do it for your dad. Yeah. You're getting killed out there.
They give him the tap though to see through.
Yes,
like the doctors. Like,
I love that.
Fingers, and he's like telling him with the tap on the back of his neck.
I noticed that last night. I didn't notice that the first time that the dude was tapping him on the neck to tell him how many fingers it was that he was holding up. I was like, damn, that's cool. I wonder.
And I'm so glad that they didn't have like that little flashback moment where it's like, if your eye gets close, I'm gonna tap. It's like we know what's fucking going on here.
We know what's
this happens. This happens every fight card, I'm sure. At some point,
we know what's going on.
Yeah, we get it, and he knows what's going on. And that's
I don't know if this is what he tells him. And he's like, take everything that you've ever dealt with in your life.
Well, yeah, this is it,
and put it into your fists. And put them through his face, right? Like that's paraphrased, but it's like,
well, he's like, fight through him to your true enemy, which is you.
Yes, and like he is in your way, right? Yeah. So badass. It's
and then when he says it, put all of your pain, put all of what you've gone through into your fist, and hit. I promise you, he will go down.
I promise you.
And then Rocky theme. It's like holy fucking shit.
So good.
Yeah, and then he gets up and he punches through his fucking face and he knocks him down. And, and it's like, that's the win. It doesn't, I mean, like, this is totally Rocky 1 ending.
Exactly. Nothing
but it doesn't matter. And nothing, he proved himself at this point.
Yep.
And, it's like, yeah, you feel when Conlon gets up and he beats the count and he falls to his knees knowing he lost, doesn't matter. He's also celebrating that he won.
Yep.
He didn't get the title, but he won the night, as they say in the the commentating.
And not only that, he wasn't supposed to win. He had his own demons. He had his own battles that he had to win. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Creed wasn't supposed to get past round 1.
Nope.
Right, and he made it 12. He knocked him down. And
he was 10 seconds away.
All I want to do is go the distance.
Yeah, right. Well, and you know, as Rocky says, like if it was 10 seconds longer, you had him.
Yeah.
You know, and it might have been because, you know, it's like that was something else that was said in one of the other it's one of the other fights in this movie where it's like you don't some fighters can't go longer than their ability to beat the other guy in the submission. Most people, if you get into late rounds with somebody, if you're an underdog, you've probably tired out your opponent. Well, and you stand a really good chance
when
of
did
winning.
Mike Tyson lose? What round was it? Like
it was the 10th round or something, wasn't it?
That fight went too long for him.
Because if you knock out consistently knock out your opponents early, you're not conditioned. The endurance or the conditioning to go later. There's also that aspect of, you know, a lot of those fighters, they go for the kill and they punch themselves out.
Yep.
Right. And if you put everything you have into it and the guy doesn't go down, and now he has that energy left to
and
come
you have
back,
nothing left.
and you have nothing left, you're susceptible. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's how Tyson lost to Douglas.
Yeah, I think it was round 10. I'm pretty sure that yeah. It was late in the fight, and he was not conditioned because he thought Douglas was a pushover, which on most nights he would have been, but he didn't go down when he came with the thunder, and it's like, Tyson's never been in this situation before. Right. Totally. And you know, you can kind of understand how Tyson loses to somebody like Holyfield, who's bigger than him, who's just as mean and bigger than him.
Yeah, and Holyfield was also hungrier.
Yeah.
At that point too. Yeah.
Not as hungry as Tyson. He tried to eat his
he did try to eat
yeah, he did try to take a little bite. Yeah. Take a little bite. Take a little nibble.
You walked into that one.
God, I remember watching that fucking thing and being like, what is happening?
I saw that. I was bowling. I was at a bowling alley, and some of the screens in the alleys or in the lanes had the fight on. I was like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Because I looked up. I was like, the fuck?
And he spits it out and everything.
So anyway, but yeah, he loses the fight, but like this is where, you know, Lampley has the big line of like he came in with the name, now he leaves as the living embodiment.
Living embodiment, yeah.
Yeah.
And the crowd, instead of chanting the champ's name, is chanting Creed's name.
Yeah, he won the night. Yep, he won the night. It's like that's massive respect. And, you know, Ricky Conlan's a professional. He comes over and it's like, hey man, you're the future. It's like he has nothing but good things because he could probably
division, yeah.
And he sees himself in him. You know, it's like, hey, you've got the heart that I had, you know, coming into this.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, and we end a little bit quieter with Rocky. You know, it's like, hey, you get to the top of those steps, you can see your whole life in front of you. You know, if you look just right. And you know, he's helping him.
How's it look?
How does it look? Because it looks pretty good. Yeah.
And that's it. It like looks pretty good is the final line of this movie.
They have to go up those steps. That has to happen, right?
Yeah.
It does. I was convinced they were going to ring the bell at the hospital. Like for real, because it's a boxing reference to ringing the cancer bell. That might be a little hokey depending on how they do it.
Well,
that's what I thought was going to happen.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been nice to have had that like as a little stinger at the end or something. Maybe even a mid-credit scene where it's just like, you know, 6 months later.
I don't even think that would have been whatever. I would have kind of liked that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Sly specifically says that they've got to go to the fight and he's got to come back to more treatments.
Yeah.
The only thing we don't know is when they climb the steps, how long.
Yeah,
how
I mean, it could have been any amount of time. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's still it's a good movie. I really like that it ends in the Rocky 1 way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Rocky 1, but it ends in the Rocky 1 way, right? Like the outcome.
He loses. Yeah.
The outcome is different than the gain. Right. Yes, he loses, but he gains a lot more than he.
Absolutely. That's the one thing. It's like I bet if you ask most people, how does Rocky 1 end? He wins. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. That's not the point. That's not, I mean, the sport.
But he does, but he doesn't.
Right. He doesn't win the fight, but he wins the respect.
But he doesn't win the fight. Yeah.
And it's like the Rocky story, the Rocky boxing story ends the same way. Like in Rocky Balboa, he goes the distance with Tarver. He doesn't win.
Right.
He shouldn't win.
That would be ridiculous if he won.
60.
Yeah,
that the distance, right? He's able to stand up to the challenge and survive it. And then this is a new story, right? And it begins the same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know where 2 and 3 go, and I don't want to know. But Creed has the lineage to be the best of all time.
Yep.
Right? Unlike Rocky.
Sure.
Yep. Rocky was scrappy, kind of a nobody who gets lucky, loses, gets lucky again because Apollo can't let it go that he took a nobody the distance.
Yep.
And a nobody took him the distance, I should say. And then it's beating the bell, essentially, or at least beating the count. He gets lucky 3 times over.
Rocky is a story of perseverance.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that. I hope that plane has perseverance.
Yeah, it sounded like
otherwise it's going to be crashing right into his.
It's a story of perseverance, right? It's him overcoming the odds, if you will. Whereas
it's the actual
Creed is given all the natural ability, but he's got to overcome those internal demons.
Yeah.
To realize his potential.
But he is also, and not to disagree with you because I totally agree with you, but his odds are similar in that he comes from a life of bouncing around.
Totally.
Like,
it wasn't given to him either.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he was adopted.
In fact, people were like, because of who he was, didn't want to work with him because they didn't understand his intention.
Just because he drove a nice car, a pretty cool old Mustang, just because he lived at the Creed estate, just because Marianne gave him a life, gave him some luxury and some.
He had a different mountain to climb. Yeah.
But that didn't necessarily mean that he didn't have to do nothing. I mean, he chose to quit his job. He chose to move to Philadelphia and live in a kind of cruddy apartment by himself. And work his way with what he had. And that was it, and that's like, so it's not, it's like he was, and that's why he took so much offense and punching out rappers and shit, because they just assumed that he was
given everything,
was already on top, at least.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe he wasn't given everything, but he's already there.
And that's part of where I think, like, him taking his father's name and Tessa Thompson, her like convincing him to do that. It's like, it's yours. You should take it.
Yeah, it's yours for the taking.
But he's reluctant because he doesn't want to be perceived that way, right? He's right and he's wrong. She's right and she's wrong, right? Because,
you're almost saying that this is complicated.
As soon as you take that name, as soon as you agree to that fight, you are accepting privilege, right? And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that.
And he has to fight to achieve that.
Right. He has to make it, he has to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to live up to it. He has to live up to it and earn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we all do when we love our parents? We try to live up to that.
Absolutely.
That name. So I think that's just natural, right? Like,
I don't know. I don't think of it so much as a name. It's just expectation, right? It's like we live up to their we don't want to disappoint.
In the context of the movie,
sure.
But I'm thinking about like him skipping head, him skipping steps. Like like Tom York's kid
releases an album with his name on it or something, it's going to get noticed because he's Tom York's kid.
Right.
I could have picked a better example, but
and that's why he didn't want to take his father's name.
Absolutely,
he wanted to achieve it on his own, but then he also can't hide from it either. He's got to find the balance.
You brought up Joe Hill earlier. One look at him, it's like, holy shit, that's Stephen King's kid.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
Good thing I'm book
he does one like public book reading, and it's like, well, the cat's out of the bag.
Look at that fucking moppy hair.
You know what's good about Joe Hill, though? You can tell that he's Stephen King's son in looks and writing, but his style is different.
Yeah.
And I think Creed is similar.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about King in a couple of weeks.
We will.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. But
I forgot.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's easy to forget that one, right?
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I freaking love this movie.
Me too.
I love the second one too. And I like the third one, even though it's got problems.
Yes.
But I like the third one like I like Rocky 5.
Yes.
Or like I like Rocky 4. It's like not my favorite.
It has its charm.
It has its place and it has its charms and it has its purpose and I like it.
Yep. Agreed.
I was going to say I like Creed 3 like I like Jeff, but I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Well, if I was off camera,
you'll love it then.
It's going to be my favorite ever.
Hopefully that will make you want to eat the McRib.
Yeah. Oh, Angus.
Well, have we done it?
I think we've done it. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think we've done it.
Wow, nice Onyx. I don't know.
That was very honest. I don't know. Maybe
it may also be a little bit next week too, but that's for us to figure out next week.
Yeah.
I don't even
next
remember
week
what we're doing the rest of this month.
We have an Academy Award winner next month. 1988's Best Picture. It's Dustin Hoffman as Tom Cruise, his Rain Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen this one. It's a gooder
for me too. Yeah,
it's a gooder. I think I'm most interested to see how it ages.
Wapner.
We'll talk about this more next week.
Next week?
We talked about it last week. You guys just forgot.
Are we coming Back to the Future?
I will tease this. It captivated a 15-year-old like 6-7 months ago.
All right.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay. Well, that's excellent. So yeah, we will talk more about that next week. Yeah, Rain Man. That is Wednesday the 13th. Go to filmseizure.com. Get all the places where you can, sign up for our podcast on your favorite podcast site.
Our newsletter.
Our newsletter, which is just, me sending a sound bite of me like or something. Yeah. Yeah. Eating McRibs. So it's a mukbang of me eating McRibs. Anyway, that is also where you can find our social medias and what have you. This upcoming Monday, I have an episode of Monster Mondays for Alien Predators. Now, there's about 1 million other titles that movie goes by, but I like it. I like that movie. Jason made it sound like he's not.
Is that Italian?
It's okay.
No. It takes place in Europe, but it's not. Anyway, so that's Alien Predators next week on Monster Mondays, all the same places that you can catch our show, filmseizure.com. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, I have a review of Portrait of a Showgirl, also known as Portrait of a Stripper. I'm guessing the second name was what it was sold to on home video to make people actually rent it. This was a TV movie that has like Tony Curtis and Rita Moreno and Leslie Ann Warren, whatever. Anyway,
so they fooled your ass with the second title?
No. Well, sort of, but it's there is a little bit of Showgirls in it. It's like it's the same kind of coming to Vegas to make your dreams come true bullshit.
Nice, nice.
Anyway, so that is bmovieanima.com. You know what? Let's go. Let's get in the car. Let's go cross country. Let's watch some Judge Wapner. Let's buy some underwears at Kmart. Until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Ding, ding.